Right now on Morning News Now, another roadblock for former President Trump. Maine is now the latest state choosing to leave him off the primary ballot. We'll take you behind that decision and what comes next. Meanwhile, Trump's opponent, Nikki Haley, playing defense in the wake of a controversial Civil War gaffe. And in the Middle East this morning, another American citizen who was believed to be held hostage in Gaza now declared dead. The new details coming to light this morning surrounding her death, plus the response from the White House. That comes as Israel's military takes the blame for civilians killed in a Christmas Eve strike on a Gazan refugee camp. Also this morning, with the new year just around the corner now, we're taking a look at dry January. What you need to know if you're considering starting off 2024 without alcohol. And we're going to end the hour with a look back at the year in help, how Americans spent their time and hard-earned money giving to others who need it most. Good morning. Thanks for being here. I'm Stephen Romo in for Joe and Savannah today. And we begin this morning with the race for the White House and potentially a big problem for the Republican frontrunner, former President Donald Trump. Maine has now decided Trump is constitutionally ineligible to appear on the state's primary ballot next year. This follows last week's Colorado decision to also exclude Trump from the ballot, citing the 14th Amendment's ban on those who engaged in insurrection from holding office. The decision was made by Maine's Secretary of State, Democrat Sheena Bellows. In her decision, Bellows wrote that Trump is not eligible due to his actions regarding the January 6th attack on the Capitol. A Trump campaign spokesperson says they will appeal the Maine decision as well. Meanwhile, in California, Trump will remain on that state's March primary ballot. California's Secretary of State had faced political pressure to reject Trump's candidacy, but declined to find him ineligible there. For the latest, let's bring in NBC News campaign embed Jake Traylor and NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Sanadella. Good morning to you both. And Jake, let's start with you. So Trump had called on the Maine Secretary of State, who is a Democrat, to recuse herself, saying she's just too partisan. We should point out Trump will remain on that ballot while the appeals and all that process plays out. But explain, if you would, that decision for us and how we got here.
Stephen, if you were trying to keep up from home yesterday, you might have been asking, wait, will Trump be on the ballot in all 50 states in 2024 or not? And the short answer is we don't actually fully know yet. Yesterday, right around the time we learned Trump would temporarily remain on the ballot in Colorado in a push from their state GOP, Maine's top election official, the Secretary of State, ruled that Trump was ineligible for the 2024 primary ballot. Now, this is another example of how states have individualized sets of laws, and they handle this 14th Amendment challenge differently. Maine is the first state where a single official was able to rule that Trump was ineligible, though, as you mentioned, the Secretary of State did say her decision is stayed or paused until the court can take up the case. So where are we right now? We're waiting for a Trump appeal and then anticipating the Supreme Court to take up these cases in Colorado and Maine, which is very likely considering the importance and time sensitivity of these cases.
Have we heard anything, Jake, from the Trump campaign since that Maine decision?
Yeah, the Trump campaign almost immediately responded to the Maine decision yesterday. Campaign spokesperson Stephen Chung told me they will absolutely appeal this decision. The campaign also issued really harsh criticism of Maine's Secretary of State, calling this a hyper-partisan act and calling it election interference. And so we saw many GOP Trump loyalists that were quick to jump to Trump's defense on Truth Social last night. We also know that each time Trump is indicted or faces criminality, he sees a bump in polling. So experts on both sides here say there's high possibility that this case might fall through, but ultimately still somehow energizes Trump's base heading into a primary and a general election. Some pretty interesting dynamics with that bump in polling. Angela, let's bring you in here. Right now, several courts, they've already sided with Trump in the recent decisions in Michigan, Arizona, Minnesota as well, allowing Trump to stay on the ballots in those states. So what do you make of the Maine decision?
Well, look, I think at this point, every state is doing what they're supposed to do. So the job of the Secretary of State in Maine is to literally disqualify people that she thinks should be barred from the ballot. So from that perspective, if you're running for president and you're under 35, she would disqualify you from the ballot without direction from the Supreme Court, without clarity on what this clause really means. She is just doing her job, Stephen.
Well, Angela, if you would explain to us where the Supreme Court comes into all of this, does it come down to how they interpret Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, or is the Supreme Court going to have to do some fact-finding here to determine whether or not Trump did participate in the insurrection, even though he wasn't charged with that?
So the way the Supreme Court works, I would think it's extremely unlikely they will actually fact find and decide that Trump is either qualified or disqualified to run for the presidency. But what they should, and we hope they would do, is outline a more specific process with details of how to determine if a presidential candidate has been disqualified. So that means whether or not being convicted by a jury of his or her peers, or whether or not that requires Congress jumping in to define this. Because at this point, what these states are interpreting is the U.S. Constitution, not their own. And because the actions of one state will affect the other, and because it triangulates with really the inalienable right of voters in this country, it's like taking a fire hose to the Supreme Court's door. They are going to answer, Stephen.
Yeah, many people waiting for that and expecting that. So, Jake, the Maine primary is on Super Tuesday coming up in March, but the ballots, they have to be printed earlier, all the way in January. They have to be sent overseas for military service members. So time is really ticking on that decision. Where does this go from here?
Right. Well, according to Maine state law, the Superior Court here must make a decision within 20 days from yesterday. So that'd be about January 17th. So we'll very likely see a weigh-in on Trump's eligibility within a few weeks before ballots are actually sent out to voters. But again, because of the consequentiality of these cases, I mean, we're talking about a question regarding a former president running for re-election for the highest office in the land. We are very likely to, at some point soon, see the Supreme Court weigh in here.
I appreciate we did not have to use the word unprecedented, though I think it would fit in several circumstances here. Jake and Angela, thanks so much. Meanwhile, on the presidential campaign trail, Republican candidate Nikki Haley spending a lot of time on the defensive for what she left out when asked about the cause of the Civil War. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has that story.
Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley in cleanup mode after leaving out slavery as a root cause of the Civil War during a town hall in New Hampshire on Wednesday.
What do you want me to say about slavery?
No, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Next question.
Haley spent Thursday attempting to explain what she meant.
Of course, the Civil War was about slavery.
And make clear the role slavery played in American history.
We know the Civil War was about slavery, but it was also more than that. It was about the freedoms of every individual.
Her opponents seized on the comments. President Joe Biden responding, quote, "It was about slavery." And GOP rival Ron DeSantis arguing she isn't ready for the big stage.
The minute that she faces any type of scrutiny, she tends to cave.
As governor of South Carolina, Haley pushed for the removal of a Confederate flag on display on the Capitol grounds after a mass shooting at a black church in Charleston, carried out by a white supremacist.
It's time to move the flag from the Capitol grounds.
She made that decision after intense pressure by African-American leaders in the wake of the massacre. The firestorm comes as Haley is gaining ground on the clear frontrunner, former President Donald Trump. Trump has routinely used divisive rhetoric and recently made racist comments about migrants and minority groups.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done.
But Trump's controversial words have done little to change the trajectory of the race. And these comments come at a make-or-break moment for the Haley campaign, with polls showing Donald Trump leading by more than double digits, and just 18 days to go before Iowa and less than 30 days before New Hampshire.
Wow, 18 days to go. Ryan Nobles, thanks so much for that. For more on this, let's bring in Julia Manchester. She's a national political reporter for the Hill newspaper and digital media platform. Julia, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. So this all comes as Haley is in a fight for second in the Republican primary race, along with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, of course. She gotten some key endorsements and funding. So what do you make of the timing for all this? Seems like it's not a great time for her. Could this harm her momentum and ultimately change the outcome of the primaries?
Yeah, good morning. Look, it's not a good time for something like this to happen, especially as Haley was getting favorable coverage and really building that momentum going into Iowa and especially New Hampshire. You know, Trump is the clear front runner in Iowa. He appears on track to win that state. But in New Hampshire, we've been looking at that state. Our polling average shows Haley only behind Trump by 17 points in that state. So we saw her gaining momentum, but this is a very negative story. story for Nikki Haley. And it's especially negative because we know that Nikki Haley was someone who sort of signified potentially the future for the Republican Party. She's a woman. She's a person of color. She's suburban. She's educated. She was seen as that new face of the party, which has been predominantly white and male in terms of its leadership. And it comes at a time when the Republican Party is really trying to appeal to voters of color. And, polling shows that there could be some opportunity there. So this doesn't necessarily play well for that narrative. Now, in terms of the long-term consequences, look, we're in a time when there's obviously a very fast-moving news cycle. Yesterday, the story dominated the headlines, but last night we were talking about Trump being kicked off of the Maine ballot. So we don't know how much the story will continue to bog Haley down, but it's certainly not good 2 weeks from Iowa.
Yeah, a bit of an unforced error for certain. She did come back, though, and try to backtrack fairly quickly about those comments. What did you make of her effort to try to clean that up?
Look, I think the damage was already done. And, her effort to say this was a quote unquote Democrat plant or a Democrat operative, that doesn't necessarily bode well as either. I mean, you saw the DeSantis campaign very much seize on that, asking, well, can she answer these questions, even if this was coming from a journalist, for example. So, I don't think it was necessarily, it came across as the best way to clean it up, but she had to. And she said what needed to be said, I think, in the first place, that slavery was absolutely a root cause of the Civil War. But the problem is she's going to be on cleanup duty at least for a couple more days, or at least for today. And I think she'd rather be talking about her candidacy.
Yeah, for certain. And talking about the South Carolina primary coming up on March 24th, she, of course, was the former governor there. She's popular there. Trump does hold a lead in polling, but, of course, her campaign was hoping to outperform him. Almost 2 months to go to that. How will all this play there? Will she make it to the primary? And how will this end up playing for it all?
Well, we have to see how she does in Iowa and New Hampshire first, because I think that will impact, whether she gets to South Carolina or how she performs in South Carolina. Look, Iowa is going to be a big test for her and Ron DeSantis. I would say more so for Ron DeSantis because he's put literally all of his eggs in the Iowa basket. But for Haley, she's had a much more broad campaign focusing on Iowa and New Hampshire, and then obviously her home state of South Carolina. I think there is opportunity for her in New Hampshire in particular. Like I said, our polling average shows her 17 points behind Donald Trump. Chris Christie polling at roughly 10% in New Hampshire. So if he were to drop out, and he's given no indication that he will, but hypothetically, if he were to drop out, that would put Haley much more close to Donald Trump, assuming that a lot of Christie's Never Trump constituents or Never Trump supporters would go with Haley. But that's not even certain at this point.
Time is ticking down. A lot of stuff is going to happen very soon. Julia Manchester, thanks so much. All right, turning now to the war in the Middle East. Israel now acknowledging that civilians were hit during a strike on a Gaza refugee camp this week. And an American citizen who was believed to be a hostage in Gaza has now been declared dead. Judy Weinsteins was reportedly killed in a Hamas attack, the Hamas attack that started all this back on October 7th. Here's NBC News foreign correspondent Josh Lederman with more on that.
In a rare move, Israel's military admitting serious mistakes, acknowledging a Christmas Eve strike on a central Gaza refugee camp unnecessarily killed civilians. Israel saying its fighter jets were targeting Hamas sites, but also struck nearby buildings, adding the IDF regrets the harm to uninvolved individuals. The IDF also concluding an investigation into how Israeli troops mistakenly killed 3 hostages this month, saying their deaths could have been prevented. A spokesman saying, "We are responsible for what happened." Meanwhile, another American family is grieving. 70-year-old Judy Weinsteins, a U.S. citizen, was believed to be held hostage in Gaza. But her kibbutz announced she was actually killed in the October 7th terror attacks, and her body brought to Gaza. Her 73-year-old husband suffered the same fate. There are now 6 Americans presumed captive in Gaza, including IDF soldier Adon Alexander from New Jersey.
He's my boy, and every day, every minute of the day, I'm just I'm terrified.
And a former hostage is speaking out. 20-year-old Mia Shchem was held for 54 days. Now free, Shchem compared her experience to the Holocaust, saying she was held not in a tunnel, but in a family house with women and children. She recalls the hospital where she says a surgeon operated on her hand without anesthesia, telling her, "You're not coming home alive." And for the hostages that remain in Gaza, few signs of hope for new negotiations. Josh Letterman, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Here with more is NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist, who's currently traveling with the president in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Aaron, so how has President Biden reacted to the death of Judy Weinstein?
Stephen, the president obviously has been keeping up with what's been going on in Israel and other parts of the world, for that matter. He has his national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, here in St. Croix with him. And so when word of the confirmation of Judy Weinstein's death was able to make its way to the president, he put out a statement, and we'll put part of it up on the screen for you. And the president said that called this loss a tragic development in what's been happening in Israel. And part of the statement reading, "We're holding Judith and Gad, her husband, who was also determined to have died in the October 7th attack. Their 4 children, 7 grandchildren, and other loved ones close to our hearts. I will never forget what their daughter and the family members of other Americans held hostage in Gaza have shared with me." We know the president has met both virtually and in person with families of Americans who were being held by Hamas and other groups inside Gaza. The president really, I think, through the White House has been almost telegraphing, trying to prepare us for the possibility that something like this could come to be the reality. We were receiving numbers of Americans who were being held hostage or unaccounted for, as the White House termed it. And at different points over the last almost 3 months, we've heard officials from the White House say they don't know the conditions of the hostages. They didn't know the conditions of the Americans, and sort of telegraphing, I think, that this was a possibility, that they could have been taken after they had died at the hands of Hamas. The president adding at the end of his statement, "We will not stop working to bring them home." We know there are 6 other Americans who are still unaccounted for at this point, Stephen.
Heartbreaking and terrifying for those families, Aaron. And staying with Israel here, 2 Israeli officials telling NBC News that Secretary of State Antony Blinken will make yet another trip to Israel in the new year. What can we expect from that meeting?
Yeah, the State Department hasn't given any details about a potential agenda for the Secretary of State in travels to the Middle East, but we do expect this trip to happen early in the new year, and it's continuing a regular cadence of engagements for the Secretary of State on what's been happening in Israel and the larger Middle East region, if you will. Every time that he's been there or engaged in phone calls, he's done a couple of things. One, obviously, talked to Israel about the operations that it's executing on the ground in Gaza, talked about starting to scale some of those operations back, or at least targeting them more specifically on Hamas leaders in a intel-driven way that is more precise. That's what we've heard from the administration. At the same time, he's also obviously been talking about hostages and how to restart negotiations between Israel and Hamas through an intermediary to try to get more hostages released. And then there's a big conversation that's been happening, particularly as of late, around what happens after Israel has completed its operations in Gaza, trying to make sure there is a way to start up a new Palestinian government in those parts of the area that are home to Palestinians now.
Many families waiting for any news 84 days now after that that October 7th attack. Aaron Gilchrist, thanks so much. Well, the countdown is on, of course, to New Year's Eve, and for some passengers traveling home or traveling to celebrate, it's already off to a bumpy start. Today and New Year's Day expected to be 2 of the busiest days of the year for air travel. The TSA is expecting to screen at least 2.5 million people per day. But the weather is threatening to cause problems for those travel plans, with a washout for parts of the West Coast, along with some dangerous riptides and flooding. Here in the Northeast, storms dumped heavy rain and caused flooding in some cities. And people in the plains are still digging out after a dangerous ice storm hit that region. Another day of dealing with the storm that's causing quite the mess. Let's take a look at your morning news now weather. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us now with more. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, Stephen, great to see you. Yeah, we are kind of stuck
back in this pattern where we can't move the storms out. So in the Northeast, we're looking a lot like yesterday, where we're looking at that precipitation in parts of the Northeast. In New England, really, we're seeing some mixed precipitation there. On the backside of this system, you can see some blue falling in the Midwest. That is snow. It's light snow, but still could see 1, 2, 3 inches of snow. That's along the Appalachians as well, and even some snow reaching as far north as far south as the Southeast, northern Alabama, northern Georgia. Again, it's really warm there, so it's not going to stick, but still seeing some snow showers there. On the West Coast, we're looking at really large waves once again, up to 25 feet in some spots, so really dangerous along the coast there. And then a powerful storm system is making its way onshore. You can see the green kind of creeping into the map. That is the rain falling, and we could see heavy rain up to 4 inches in some spots, especially in northern and central California, and also some really heavy snow along the Sierra Nevada mountains. We have dense fog advisories this morning. We're looking at low visibilities across the Northeast into the Midwest, down to 3 miles. In Chicago, at Chicago O'Hare, that's going to slow you down to a mile in portions of New York as well. LaGuardia looking at 1.3. And we're looking at down to half mile in Burlington, Vermont. So you get the idea. We're looking at low clouds. We're looking at fog. It's gray once again, kind of stuck in the pattern that we saw yesterday and the day before. So possible travel impacts today. We're looking at Boston, Chicago, New York City, also St. Louis. Looking good, though, in Atlanta. Looking much better in Miami. We had a tough day there yesterday. On the West Coast, Seattle could see some possible delays, likely delays in San Francisco, because we're going to be looking at really gusty winds and also heavy rain falling all throughout this Friday. Then as we near tomorrow, we're looking much better in the Northeast. We're finally going to clear that system out. So looking good in Boston, New York City, D.C., all the major hubs along the East Coast. Chicago expected to be good weather-wise as well. Then we're looking at possible impacts for San Francisco, Los Angeles, and portions of Southern California, because we're going to see some lingering showers throughout the day. This is what it looks like. Slow improvement in the Northeast. We're going to be stuck with those showers today, Stephen, but looking much, much better by tomorrow. Back to you.
All right. Like the sound of that. Michelle Grossman, thanks so much. Well, there's much more to come this hour of Morning News Now, including a comprehensive look back at all the moments that made 2023 the year that it was. But first, new developments this morning in the killings of those 4 University of Idaho students, how the victims' families are reacting to the house where those murders happened now being demolished. Those stories and much more coming up right after this. We're back now with a closer look at a high-profile case involving Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Back in 2015, she was found guilty of conspiring to kill her mother, who had allegedly subjected her to years of abuse. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has the details about her case and her release.
We're seeing some of the first images of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, finally freed from a Missouri correctional center after spending the better part of a decade behind bars for her role in a high-profile plot to kill her allegedly abusive mother back in 2015. She conspired with her then-boyfriend, who's serving life in prison for the fatal stabbing of Gypsy's mother, Dee Dee. Gypsy alleges her mother forced her for years to pretend she was critically ill, even using a wheelchair and having as many as 30 surgeries.
How is this going to stay with her for the rest of her life?
We've been running support groups for adult survivors like Gypsy. She'll have PTSD. She might engage in somatizing behaviors, which is where you focus on physical, small things, but you exaggerate them, or you worry about them excessively, or you turn psychological pain into physical symptoms.
Gypsy's case captivated the nation, inspiring an Emmy-winning dramatized series.
Real world, not until now. It's almost like we're in a Disney movie.
She was the #1 search on Google. Before her release, Blanchard telling People magazine, "I want to make sure that people in abusive relationships do not resort to murder." Now the 32-year-old Blanchard moving forward with the world watching. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
Now to Idaho, where the home of 4 university students who were killed last year is no longer standing. Demolition was completed yesterday, but some of the victims' families fear it may have been too soon to bulldoze that house. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin explains the dispute and whether it could end up affecting the upcoming trial.
Within hours, the University of Idaho demolished the home where Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez were stabbed to death.
You know, it's nice to see the house come down.
2 victims' families pleaded with the university and prosecutor's office to halt the demolition until after the trial, saying it could still be relevant to the jury. The court has yet to set a date for that trial. The prosecution argues that they've already collected measurements for any possible exhibits, and due to Idaho code, a jury walkthrough wouldn't be authorized.
Getting rid of this daily reminder of the horrific event that happened here is a relief and a step in healing.
The university acknowledging security concerns and the $700 daily fee to protect the property factored into their decision. Prosecutors have requested a 6-week summer trial date in the death penalty case. Legal experts believe the defense will seek a venue transfer to a larger city with a larger jury pool.
How much does that disrupt the timeline of getting to trial?
That shouldn't change things. In fact, that might speed things up a little bit because you get a larger jury pool. You might be able to find a jury faster.
And away from this small town, still healing from the brutal murders. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
Dana, thanks. And coming up, how do you define a year like 2023? Well, after the break, our own Joe Fryer is taking a closer look at the top trends, headlines, and of course, everything Taylor Swift did that made 2023, well, 2023. Stick around. Welcome back. Well, this is our final show of 2023, and what a year it's been. A year dominated by the war in the Middle East, of course, a House Speaker's ouster, a former president's legal battles, and the hunt for that missing submersible. It's been the year, too, of Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Barbenheimer. Our Joe Fryer takes a look back on pretty much all that happened in 2023.
How do you define a year like 2023? Was it the year of the strike? No, bitch! No, bitch! Or year of the Swift? When I walk in the room. Did it offer a glimpse of the future with the rapid rise of artificial intelligence and the weight loss drug Ozempic, or a blast from the past? Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Ken.
With the pink-coated resurgence of a classic doll. Was it the year a speaker was muted, or simply a political prelude to 2024 and a campaign trail lined with pit stops in the courtroom? 2023 can be defined in so many ways. To much of the world, it was a year headlined by war in the Middle East.
Major breaking news tonight. War erupts in the Middle East. A stunning surprise attack by Palestinian militants.
It started on October 7th, the day many now call Israel's 9/11. In a surprise attack, Hamas militants stormed into Israeli towns and military bases.
They were just all around me, and they were going 3 by 3 and shooting.
Israel's foreign ministry says about 1,200 people were killed, more than 200 taken hostage, including young children.
It's something that no parent can ever imagine, to see a child in the hands of terrorists.
Israel's response was swift and relentless, but with thousands of Palestinians killed and a humanitarian crisis growing, Israel faced mounting criticism. Those tensions seen on American streets and college campuses, with reports of both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia spiking across the country. As the Middle East war raged on, the one between Ukraine and Russia trudged on. Ukraine's long-awaited counteroffensive stalling and American support waning. Just one of many issues highlighting America's stark divisions. In January, it took 15 ballots.
A speaker has not been elected, has not been elected, has not been elected.
To elect Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, a position he held just 9 months before he was ousted.
I fought for what I believe in, and I believe in this country of America.
Like a reality TV show, new contenders came and went.
We're a ship that doesn't have a rudder right now.
Before Louisiana's Mike Johnson got the gavel.
The House will be in order.
An election followed by an expulsion. Scandal-plagued Representative George Santos became only the third congressman since the Civil War to be ejected from the chamber. But no controversy, it seemed, could shake the GOP support for former President Donald Trump, who in April made history too.
It was a legal spectacle never seen before in America. The former president being fingerprinted and being charged with 34 felonies.
Mr. Trump's appearance in a New York courtroom created a media circus that was repeated with indictments in Florida, then Washington, then Georgia, where he mugged for this shot.
We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
He has pleaded not guilty to all charges while preserving a vast lead for his party's presidential nomination, skipping debates.
Donald Trump's a lot different guy than he was in 2016. He owes it to you to be on this stage,
leaving the rest of the field to squabble for second.
Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
They're 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them.
On the Democratic side, President Joe Biden announced his re-election bid in April.
Are you saying that you would be taking part in our upcoming election?
Well, I plan on running out.
While inflation dropped in 2023, so did the president's approval rating, hitting an all-time low. Now voters are bracing for a potential 2020 rematch that's leaving many disenchanted. A wave of labor discontent swept the country in 2023, pushing unions to the picket line. The United Auto Workers went on strike against Detroit's Big Three, eventually winning record pay hikes. Well, Hollywood was effectively shut down, with writers striking, then actors, before reaching deals with studios.
It's the best day ever. It is the best day ever.
Amid the strikes, the box office got a boost from an unlikely couple, Barbie and Oppenheimer.
We're in a race against the Nazis.
Both movies opened at the same time, inspiring a cultural phenomenon dubbed Barbenheimer.
Like, the double feature is really legendary.
Now the films are hoping to follow in the footsteps of this year's big Oscar winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once. The sci-fi flick won Best Picture, and its star Michelle Yeoh became the first Asian woman to win the Academy Award for Best Actress. There were firsts that were far less desirable in 2023. The United Nations declared in late November this was virtually certain to be the planet's warmest year on record. A year with the most billion-dollar disasters in U.S. history, including Hurricane Idalia.
Some wind gusts are starting to pound us. We actually just lost power here right now.
And a firestorm that ravaged the island of Maui.
Local people have lost everything. They've lost their house, they've lost their animals, and it's devastating.
It was the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, with more than 100 people killed. Gun violence plagued the country again, with cities like Lewiston, Maine joining the long list of communities linked to mass shootings.
Why would he do this? Like, why in Lewiston, Maine?
18 people were killed there, while 6 were gunned down at a private elementary school in Nashville, 3 of them children.
How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them?
Tragedy also reached the depths of the ocean.
Let's get right to the story the whole world is watching, the urgent search for a missing submersible.
In June, OceanGate's Titan submersible vanished while on a sightseeing tour of the Titanic's wreckage. A desperate search offered hope the 5 people on board could be rescued, but crews eventually determined a catastrophic implosion killed everyone on the ill-fated voyage. In the sky, the U.S. military shot down a Chinese spy balloon flying over American airspace, heightening tensions between the two countries. The crisis at the border widened in 2023, with places like New York and Chicago running out of room to house migrants who were bused to their cities.
Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail.
In January, protesters took to the streets following the death of Tyree Nichols.
I'm just trying to go home.
The 29-year-old black man was kicked and punched during a traffic stop in Memphis, dying 3 days later. 5 police officers were fired and charged with state and federal crimes. 1 has since pleaded guilty, the others not guilty. In the courts, the Supreme Court handed down a historic decision in June, gutting affirmative action, effectively ending race-conscious college admissions.
This is a really disappointing decision.
Perhaps no court case generated more attention in 2023 than the trial of Alec Murdaugh. The disgraced attorney from South Carolina, accused of killing his wife and son, took the stand in his own defense.
If you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out,
No, I did not.
The jury deliberated only 3 hours before finding Murdaugh guilty. King Charles III was officially coronated in May. Prince Harry was there for the event. His wife Meghan Markle was notably not, in a year when the royal rift between the couple and palace spared no one. With Harry's memoir,
We want privacy! We want privacy!
and a South Park parody.
Hey, thanks for having us on the show.
For many, the year 2023 was the one we lost a friend.
Hi, it's Chandler.
Actor Matthew Perry died in October at the age of 54. The music world said goodbye to an icon, Tina Turner,
Wasted away again in Margaritaville.
and the mayor of Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett. Tributes also poured in for trailblazing women in politics. Senator Dianne Feinstein, the first female Supreme Court Justice, Sandra Day O'Connor, and former First Lady, Rosalind Carter. It was a huge year for women in entertainment. Stadiums were ruled by Queen Bee, Beyonce, who also won a 32nd Grammy, and by Taylor Swift, who became a billionaire and Times Person of the Year. The artist even crossed over into football, showing up at Chiefs games to support her new beau, Travis Kelce. Speaking of sports, Simone Biles returned to gymnastics, vaulting to her 6th world title. A comeback on the mat, matched by one on the field, when Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest and medics restarted his heart.
This event was life-changing, but it's not the end of my story.
Hamlin didn't just recover, he returned to the game he loves, a symbol of resilience and strength. That just might be the best way to define 2023.
Wow, I'd forgotten about like half of that stuff. Our thanks to our very own Joe Fryer for that look back. Well, coming up to start the new year off, should you try dry January? It's certainly in fashion these days. So after the break, we'll set you up for success if you're trying to kick alcohol for at least some of the new year. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Back now with financial headlines and Google settling a pretty hefty lawsuit alleging that it's tracking user data. CNBC's Silvana now joins us with that and other news. Good morning, Silvana.
Hey, Stephen, good morning to you and happy Friday. Yes, so Google has agreed to settle a consumer privacy lawsuit alleging the company secretly tracked millions of people who thought they were browsing the web privately by setting Chrome to incognito mode. Reuters says the lawsuit is seeking at least $5 billion. Terms of the settlement haven't been disclosed, but lawyers expect to present a formal plan for a judge's approval by the end of February. Microsoft is preparing to upgrade its Surface laptops with new AI features. What else, right? Well, Windows Central reports the upcoming Surface Pro 10 and Laptop 6 will come with a next-generation neural processing unit. They'll be designed to run the AI features Microsoft is packaging into a future version of Windows, including a keyboard button dedicated to Copilot. That's the AI chatbot being integrated into Windows 11. And job offers for graduates from Harvard Business School have fallen to the lowest levels in more than 5 years. Now, it's a sign of the slowdown in demand for recruitment of highly qualified candidates. Harvard reporting of the 73% of most recent graduating MBA class seeking employment, 86% of those got an offer. That's down from 95% last year. Many employers are making deferred offers this year, with jobs set to start in several months at a time of economic uncertainty, Stephen.
Wow, even for those graduating from Harvard.
Yeah.
Silvana Hanau, thank you.
You got it, Stephen. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Well, January is just around the corner now, which means thousands of people will be trying their hand at dry January. It's an annual tradition for many people to give up alcohol for 1 month. Well, this morning we have everything you need to know to set yourself up for success if you want to try it. Let's bring in Hillary Scheinbaum. She's got more information on this, the author of The Dry Challenge, and just the person we want to talk to. Hillary, good morning to you. So to start off, what do people need to know about beginning dry January? Is there anything they can do to make this a bit easier on them?
Good morning. Yes, absolutely. So dry January is around the corner, and to prepare, I have a few tips, including recruiting a friend, trying non-alcoholic beverages. There are so many these days between wines, beers, and spirits. You want to make a plan for your night or your days even from start to finish. And you want to plan out your nights when you're going out with your friends. Envision what you're going to drink at the bar, how you're going to answer maybe some not so, comfortable questions. And you'll have a successful dry January.
Yeah, it sounds like a strategy would really come in handy here. If you're not participating in dry January, but someone you love and you care about is, how can you help support them through it?
Yeah, there are so many ways. So first off, I would say don't judge loved ones. If you are approaching somebody, don't ask them why they're not drinking. Just instead, say, okay, and kind of move on with the, topic at hand. And that really means not pushing alcohol on them. Don't ask them, maybe just have one or anything in regards to pressuring them to drink. If you are hosting a party, I would definitely include non-alcoholic beverages that are inclusive. So if you have a cocktail for the evening, I would make the non-alcoholic version of that. And there are, mocktails like curious elixirs that you can just have on hand to pour. So it really just kind of takes the guesswork out of it. And even, champagne toasts. I would opt for wonderful sparkling wines like Gypsy or even Mianetto alcohol removed. So people can really enjoy and celebrating with you without the booze.
Great tips. People do sometimes get kind of weird if you turn down alcohol. They really want you to drink along with them. And on that topic, being alcohol free, that can extend beyond the celebrations for New Year's and even dating. So how can people go on dates while abstaining from alcohol? Many people feel like they might need a drink to sort of loosen up and be more comfortable in these dates.
Yeah, I definitely recommend engaging in activities that both of you really enjoy that don't involve alcohol. So that means going on a hike if it's available to you, or, playing board games if you love that, bowling, going to art classes, or doing, workouts together. But there are certainly a lot of benefits to dating without alcohol. And so, I definitely recommend it. I personally just got engaged, so I think it works.
Well, congratulations. Love to hear that. A great 2024 lined up for you, and hopefully some people ready for dry January now. Hillary Scheinbaum, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, coming up, we're taking a closer look at the year that was, but through a different lens this time. After the break, how Americans reached out to help those who need it most in 2023. That's next. You're watching Morning News Now. We're back now with a closer look at the charities and causes that tugged on our hearts the most this year. GoFundMe released its annual Year in Help report that shines a light on how Americans choose to donate their money in 2023. From animal shelters to health emergencies, there were plenty of campaigns worthy of some extra love this year. Amanda Brown-Learman is the Senior Director for Policy and Engagement at GoFundMe. She joins us now for more insight on this year's donations. Amanda, good morning to you. So walk us through this report. What were some of the causes that saw major donations this year, and how did 2023 compare to previous years?
Thanks for asking, Steve. Thanks for having me on. Have so much to tell you about this report because it's just remarkable to think about the outpouring of generosity. I've been watching the show for the last couple of minutes, and you've been teasing all like the year of Taylor Swift. We definitely saw that on the platform. The year of these incredible causes and people just showing up for one another. That's exactly what we saw on the platform. It's really a reflection of people just showing love and support for one another and the global community coming together. So your first question, some of the things that we saw more than $106 million get raised for natural disaster relief. So when the wildfires struck in Maui, we saw people from more than 100 different countries show up to help that relief effort. We had people, Maui natives even across the country, across the globe, were helping to raise money in like their normal everyday function, and then donating relief or donating to the relief efforts as well with the money raised. So it was just this incredible outpouring of support. It's also, I think this reflection of what is happening in the world. So you see that on GoFundMe too. So we saw 4.5 times more fundraisers for student lunch debt. The pandemic era, when we had those free lunch programs, that ended. And so we saw people come to the platform to raise money to eliminate debt. And actually, one of my favorite stories of this year is this young man from Missouri, DeJuan Strickland. He's one of our GoFundMe heroes, actually, so you should look him up. But he was incredible and tried to raise $200 to eliminate student lunch debt at his school, and then raise up to almost $8,000 for students across the country. And then I would also just name the senior care crisis. People are having to make some really impossible decisions about housing, medical bills, caregiving, and we saw a 10% year-over-year increase as well for senior care related fundraisers.
Wow, a lot of good being done. You mentioned the Taylor Swift effect. I'm curious about that connection with GoFundMe there.
Oh my God. The year of Taylor, GoFundMe was not the exception. 13 is her favorite number. I know that because my 6-year-old Swiftie tells me that all the time and only wants to do math problems that add to 13. So we saw $13 donations double this year on the platform. All of her fans, they came to the platform to show their support for the causes and communities that they care about. And one of the most sort of striking stories that I would point to here is, and this is, a sad story, but also just shows the power and generosity of the Swiftie community and Taylor herself. There was one of the fans actually tragically died on the way home from one of the Eras shows. And fans raised $144,000 to help that family in the aftermath of that disaster. So Taylor Swift herself is a part of the global community, and her fandom, the Swiftyhood, is alive, strong, and definitely on GoFundMe.
We'd love to see a platform used for good. Don't have a lot of time left here, Amanda, but I do want to ask about where people are the most charitable in the U.S. So which cities and states have those bragging rights?
Love this. You can go get more information on our website, but we have named the 10 most generous states. So congratulations to Vermont for being our most generous state for the second year in a row. And then we also lift up the 10 most generous cities. And this year, we're proud to say that Spring, Texas is the most generous. Marietta, Georgia was last year's. My hometown, Alpharetta, Georgia's on the list. And we hope to actually be getting on the ground in these communities to celebrate with the people and the many generous organizers and donors within these communities this year too.
Spring, Texas, been there many times, a great place. Amanda Brown-Learman, thanks so much for your time this morning. Fascinating stuff.
Steve, can I bother you for like 10 more seconds?
10
just
seconds
to say
we
that
can do.
It's not too late for people to also be a part of our year in help. So you should start a fundraiser. You should go to GoFundMe.com and find a cause or community that you care about and support one or share a fundraiser too.
Got a couple days left. All right, Amanda, thanks so much.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, this Sunday, couples will be lining up to tie the knot in Las Vegas on the Strip, where officials may perform up to 3 times as many weddings as usual this New Year's Eve. NBC News correspondent Jacob Soboroff explains why 2023 is extra special.
Hey there, Times Square has the ball drop, but Vegas has wedding bells. The rush to the altar is all about the date, December 31st, 2023. Said another way, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Some couples see that as lucky, heralding good energy and new beginnings. In Las Vegas this weekend, hundreds of couples are expected to exchange rings as they ring in the new year.
It's Las Vegas, it's New Year's, there's always just a little bit of magic in the air.
And December 31st has extra significance this year because of the number sequence, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, making the date more sought after than ever. The Chapel of the Flowers on the Las Vegas Strip performed 53 weddings last New Year's Eve. This year they have 111 on the books and counting.
Everybody's looking for something that resonates with them, something symbolic.
Natalia Figueroa and Luis Rumbos are flying from Orlando, Florida to Las Vegas for their big day.
This is my favorite day of the year. Plus, everybody's super happy, enjoying the last day of the year, celebrating the new one. And then we notice that the dates correlate. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're very excited for that as well.
While Las Vegas typically sees 450 to 550 couples saying "I do" on New Year's Eve, the Clark County clerk says she expects at least 1,500 this year.
We think this is going to be a banner night for Las Vegas weddings.
Weddings are big business in Sin City, where the wedding industry generates $2.5 billion a year. And there's good reason Las Vegas has been the go-to quick wedding destination for decades, taking the headache out of getting hitched. The Marriage License Bureau can provide licenses in about an hour. They're open till midnight every day of the year. And this year, to handle the New Year's Eve rush, they're even setting up in the Las Vegas airport for couples to take care of their paperwork as soon as they step off the plane.
People love when there's actually a lot of people waiting at the Marriage License Bureau, and just the excitement of being with other couples that are getting married on the same day with the same locations is just a great deal of fun.
And you never know who you might run into at the altar.
We have Elvis impersonators. We can have Dracula. We can have Mrs. Claus a few weeks ago. Pretty much anything other than, setting the chapel on fire is pretty much a go.
Of course, if you do get married on New Year's Eve, you can always count on fireworks to celebrate your anniversary. By the way, the current record for weddings on a single day in Vegas happened on July 7th, 2007. 07, 07, 07. I was never good at math. Back to you.
Me either, Jacob. That's why we're journalists. Thanks so much for that. And that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But your news continues right now. Good Friday morning. I'm Stephen Romo in for Joe and Savannah today. And right now on Morning News Now, the countdown to New Year's Eve is on, with cities across the country making final preparations for the celebrations. And our nation's airports are also preparing. The TSA expecting to screen at least 2.5 million travelers today as people make their way home or to New Year's destinations. We have everything you need to know to make your trip as smooth as possible. And more trouble on the campaign trail for former President Trump. Maine, now the second state to rule that he is constitutionally ineligible to appear on the state's primary ballot next year. We're taking a closer look at that decision and what it could mean for 2024. Also, a new year means it's time for more to start the Dry January Challenge. We have tips to set yourself up for success if you're thinking of skipping the alcohol for the month. And love is in the air in Las Vegas. The number of couples tying the knot on the Las Vegas Strip this New Year's Eve could set a new record. Why 2023 is so special. And we begin with that holiday travel rush ahead of New Year's. If you're heading to the airport today, be prepared. The TSA says it's expected to be one of the busiest travel days of the year. It caps off a week that has already seen its share of problems at our nation's airports. A combination of weather, staffing issues, and record level volume have all led to plenty of delays. NBC News meteorologist Michelle Grossman has your forecast. We'll get to her in just a moment. But first, we begin with NBC News correspondent Sam Brock. He joins us now from Miami International Airport with a look at how things are going there. Sam, good morning to you. So give us an idea of the volume of air travelers we're expecting to see today and Monday, and how does that compare with what we were seeing last year?
Sure, Stephen. Good morning. And obviously, as you can see behind me right now, there's plenty of activity at MIA this morning. As far as the bigger picture and the numbers from TSA, they are warning travelers right now. Today, the 29th, and Monday, January 1st, will likely be two of the busiest travel days all year. And they're saying we're likely to see in excess of 2.5 million people go through checkpoints, as you said. Here's the problem. Look at the days earlier this week that were not expected to be as crazy, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Those days, we're looking at about 2.6 million people already, and then compare it to 2022. And, Stephen, this is the bigger picture right here. More than 500,000 passengers per day more this year compared to last year, and those figures are, bigger than what we saw in 2019 prior to the pandemic, which is to say, in terms of just sheer volume right now, we are at a very elevated rate. And as you said earlier, it's a combination of things, right? The number of people, staffing issues, weather, all of it seems to be at play right now.
Yeah, a lot going on, Sam. We know there were several issues with delays at Florida airports over the last few days, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami, though people look pretty friendly, pretty happy behind you right now. So how are things going so far in Miami this morning?
So good this morning, as you said, jovial mood out here, holiday spirit. As far as what's going on in South Florida the last couple of days, it has been troublesome, specifically at Miami International, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach International. MIA yesterday led the nation when it came to delays. More than 300 of them, more than 1 in 3 flights at this airport were delayed yesterday. What's going on with that? To your question, a lot of this has to do with staffing. We got a statement from the FAA earlier this week about the Miami Air Route Traffic Control Center. We're not talking about the ATC towers at individual airports, but the center that basically regulates guidance and clearance for airlines and for flights. Once they're at altitude, that controls all these airports in the area. Well, they are low staffed, according to the FAA, which is interesting because you're also looking at a situation, Stephen, where the last couple of years, the FAA has asked to meet with airlines about Florida specifically, get these ATC staffing issues squared away. And here we are. It is still problematic.
Don't like to hear that. A lot of this seems so ominous and outside of our control. We tell people that there's going to be trouble at the airports. Is there anything that individual passengers can do to make this trip smoother?
100%. The 2 tidbits of advice I always say are the most important. Start as early as possible. You want the earliest flight going out because the later in the day that you get, the more likely you're going to get caught up in delays. There's that cascading effect. And the other big thing, and it's not hard, but for some reason many people don't do this, is to sign up for TSA PreCheck. Because when you look at the lines, even if they appear to be longer, it moves so much faster than regular security lines. It will save you. As we all have been in this situation, you're running late, you're down to like 45 minutes before your flight. That will be the killer right there if you cannot get through security quickly. TSA PreCheck, I cannot recommend it highly enough.
It's because I never think of it until I'm in the longer TSA line. That's why I haven't signed up for it. But a good reminder. Sam Brock, thanks so much. All right, let's get a look at what to expect this holiday weekend. A check on your Morning News Now weather forecast. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us again. Good morning, Michelle.
Morning, Stephen. Great to see you. And overall, we're not looking terrible weather-wise. We do have some problem areas, kind of what we saw yesterday, the day before that. We have a storm system that is slow to move out of the northeast and northern parts of the northeast. So we have some precipitation falling there, some showers, even some mixed precipitation in parts of northern Maine. On the backside of this system, we're looking at some snow falling throughout the Midwest. It's not going to amount to much, maybe a few inches in some spots. And then on the West Coast, that's going to be the trouble spot for the weather today. We have a atmospheric river moving on shore that's going to bring heavy rain throughout the day, especially in parts of northern and central California, and also some heavy snow along the Sierra Nevada mountains. Still looking at some really high waves as well along the coast of California. So in terms of possible travel impacts for today, we're looking at possible delays in Boston, New York City, Chicago, St. Louis. Looking good weather-wise for Atlanta, also Miami. And then travel impacts certainly in San Francisco because we're looking at that heavy rain throughout the day on this Friday. Also really gusty winds. That's a problem too at the airports. And looking at possible delays throughout Seattle. As we look towards tomorrow, we're looking at much better conditions throughout the Northeast. That storm system finally on the move. We're looking at a few leftover snow showers in northern Maine. Otherwise, Boston, New York City, D.C., Atlanta, Miami looking good right along the East Coast. Again, we're looking at some trouble spots along the West Coast because we're going to see occasional rain and also low visibility, some fog in spots. San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego could see possible delays tomorrow. Let's look ahead towards the New Year's Eve forecast or in the New Year's outlook for the weekend. Saturday looking good once again. Pretty quiet for most of the country with the exception of the West Coast. We're looking at wind, rain, snow. Again, could see it up to a foot in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Lots of rain too. A little less on Saturday, but still leftover rain. Then we're looking at snow showers throughout portions of northern Northeast. Also the Great Lakes along the Appalachians. Could see some snow there as well. But a really beautiful day in the South Central states. The Southeast looks good as well. We're looking chilly in the northern plains, but dry, also dry in portions of the Midwest. Then as we near New Year's Eve, we're looking at snow showers still in the Great Lakes, dry in the New England area, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast. A chilly morning in the Southeast, but it's going to be nice by the afternoon. 71 in Miami. Intermountain West, we're looking at some snow falling also in portions of the Pacific Northwest, kind of remaining with those showers in place on New Year's Eve. Fair skies throughout the middle of the country. Overall, another quiet day as we near Sunday. But let's look ahead towards the New Year's Eve forecast because you're going to have to bundle up in some spots. Frigid throughout the northern plains, throughout the upper Midwest, the Midwest, into portions of the Central Plains. The Southern Plains, really chilly as well. We're looking at 27 degrees by midnight in Wichita Falls. Still snow falling in the Intermountain West. Lots of blue there. where you see the Rockies as well. We're looking at the chance for some snow showers, light showers, unfortunately, still in portions of Southern California. Slick roads also throughout the Great Lakes, parts of the Northeast as well. And really, temperatures not all that bad. We've seen much chillier New Year's Eve forecasts in portions of the Northeast, New England, the Mid-Atlantic. And then New Year's Day, we're looking at mountain snow continuing. Tranquil weather pattern does continue in portions of the South Central states, the Central Plains, the Northern Plains. Chilly still, though, freezing temperatures in portions of the upper Midwest. Snow showers in the Great Lakes. So we kind of are in this repeat where we're seeing the same weather in the same spots day after day. But overall, we're looking fairly quiet over the next 3 days. Let's talk about the New Year's Eve forecast in Times Square. Another good forecast. Temperatures not bad, 39 degrees. We've seen much chillier forecasts. Wind chill will be 35. So you need some layers. You need the hat, the gloves. But we're looking at dry conditions. No rain, no snow. We're looking at partly cloudy skies. Then we're talking about the dangerous surf in the West Coast. This is a big story. We had those big, huge waves come on shore yesterday. That seawater kind of moving on shore, and we're looking at some damage as well. So we're going to see waves as high as 25 feet, 15 to 20 feet in some spots. So significant coastal flooding once again. Stephen?
All right, not too bad of a start to the new year, Michelle. I'll take it. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Well, 2 days out from New Year's Eve, authorities across the nation are ramping up security to try to keep celebrations safe during this time where we're seeing a lot of tension across the country. NBC News correspondent Stephanie Gosk is in Times Square with the latest.
On New Year's Eve, there will be the security people see, things like barricades, counterterrorism units, and sanitation trucks blocking the streets. There will also be security people do not see, the plainclothes officers, cameras, and other types of surveillance. There was a big meeting at police headquarters on Thursday. Police say that there is no credible threat, but they do have concerns that the war in Gaza has increased the possibility that an event like this could be a target. They are most concerned about lone wolf attacks as well as protesters. There have been demonstrations in recent days where there have been scuffles with police. There are similar security concerns in other large cities around the country, like Boston and Chicago, and in Las Vegas, where they're expecting 500,000 people in the Strip. There have also been the festivities here in Times Square. Today, they will be testing the confetti. 75 pounds will be dropped, nothing compared to the 3,000 pounds that will fall on New Year's Eve. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News in Times Square.
A lot of confetti. All right, Stephanie, thanks. All right, to politics now. Maine's top election official has ruled former President Trump is not eligible to be on that state's primary ballot next month. The ruling was similar to challenges in other states where Trump's opponents have argued his actions on January 6th disqualify him from office. NBC's Ryan Nobles joins us now from Washington with the latest developments on this. Ryan, a lot of people talking about this one and the uncertainty it's going to bring.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Stephen. And the Secretary of State in Maine said that her ruling will be put on pause until the court weighs in. That will allow time for the Supreme Court and others to hear it. And that will mean that Trump will remain on the primary ballot in Maine and, of course, in Colorado, at least for now.
For the second time in less than a month, a state has ruled that former President Donald Trump was in violation of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment because of his actions on January 6th, and therefore ineligible to run for President of the United States. Maine's Secretary of State, Shanna Bellows, a Democrat, ruling that Trump should be removed from the state's ballot. In her decision, she writes, "The weight of the evidence makes clear that Mr. Trump was aware of the tinder laid by his multi-month effort to delegitimize a Democratic election and then chose to light a match." The ruling by Bellows is similar to the decision made by Colorado's Supreme Court that also declared Trump ineligible. And while both rulings are unprecedented, former President Trump's name will remain on the ballot for now while the court process plays out and appeals are made. But Trump's culpability related to January 6th is something the U.S. Supreme Court will likely still have to deal with. Trump's campaign called the ruling a partisan attack. We are witnessing in real time the attempted theft of an election and the disenfranchisement of the American voter, said Trump campaign spokesman Stephen Chung. An attack Bellows rejected.
My obligations to the Constitution and rule of law come before any other consideration. No other factors could weigh on that decision.
Challenges like these have popped up across the country, and most have been denied, including in Arizona, Minnesota, and most recently Michigan. Hours after the Maine decision, the Secretary of State in California announced that the former president would remain on the ballot in that state after facing calls to remove him. Meanwhile, Trump's GOP opponents rushing to his defense.
The idea that one bureaucrat in an executive position can simply unilaterally disqualify someone from office, that turns on its head every notion of constitutional due process that this country's always abided by for over 200 years.
And the Maine and Colorado primaries are being held on Super Tuesday, which is March 5th. And that may not leave enough time for ballots to be printed in time for the appeals process to run its course. So, Stephen, that means that this actually may become more of a general election issue than a primary issue. Stephen?
Yeah, those primaries coming up fast now. Ryan Nobles, thank you. Meanwhile, fellow Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley is backpedaling on comments she gave at a town hall this week regarding the U.S. Civil War. During the event, Haley responded to a question saying the cause of the Civil War came down to, quote, the role of government. And she was criticized right away for not mentioning slavery in that answer. Well, on Thursday, Haley did play cleanup, appearing on a New Hampshire radio show and saying, quote, of course the Civil War was about slavery. Haley also suggested, though, without presenting any evidence, that the voter who asked that question was a plant sent by Democrats, arguing allies of President Biden are trying to influence the primary. New Hampshire's primary is set for January 23rd. To the Israel-Hamas war now, another American citizen has been declared dead in the conflict. It was believed that she was being held hostage in Gaza. And this comes as the families of more than 100 estimated hostages still desperately wait for signs of progress and trying to secure their release. NBC News foreign correspondent Josh Letterman joins us now from Tel Aviv with more. Josh, good morning.
Hey, Stephen, nice to see you. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been meeting with the families of hostages and saying that talks about their release are ongoing, but that he can't discuss any of the details. But in the meantime, Hamas has been doubling down on its position that it is not going to release any more hostages until there is a permanent ceasefire, which is, of course, something that Israel has maintained is really not on the table right now. And in the meantime, we are learning that one of those hostages in the Gaza Strip is no longer alive.
This morning, another American family is grieving. 70-year-old Judy Weinstein, a U.S. citizen and grandmother of 7, was believed to be a hostage in Gaza. But her kibbutz announcing it's learned she was actually murdered in Israel during the October 7th terror attacks, and her body brought to Gaza. It's the same fate as her 73-year-old husband, his death confirmed last week. President Biden saying the death cuts deep and vowing to bring remaining hostages home. There are 6 Americans still presumed captive in Gaza, including Edan Alexander from New Jersey. He turns 20 today in captivity.
I decided that this year I'm not going to make Edan's birthday cake. It's making me too sad.
Meanwhile, a former hostage, 21-year-old Mia Shem, is speaking out, detailing the grueling conditions she went through while in captivity for 54 days. Shem comparing her experience to the Holocaust, recalling when a surgeon operated on her hand without anesthesia, telling her, "You're not coming home alive." It comes as Israel, in a rare move, is admitting serious mistakes in the war, saying the fatal shooting of 3 hostages this month in a friendly fire incident could have been prevented. A spokesman saying, "We are responsible for what happened." And for the first time, Israel acknowledging 2 devastating airstrikes in a central Gaza refugee camp on Christmas Eve. The IDF saying its fighter jets unintentionally struck civilians and expressing regret. Overnight, the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says more than 20 were killed in new airstrikes in Rafah, in the south, where Israel once told civilians to flee to, including Ahmed from northern Gaza. "We are all relatives, and we came here," he says. "Why did they hit this house?" In the smoldering rubble, Palestinians digging for survivors with their bare hands, finding a young girl in the rubble. She's still alive, rescued, and rushed to the hospital.
And Stephen, those tensions are really rising right now throughout the Middle East. Overnight, the U.S. Navy says that it shot down a ballistic missile that was fired towards ships in the Red Sea by Iran-backed Houthi rebels from Yemen. And all throughout the morning, Israel and Hezbollah say that they have been exchanging fire across the Lebanese border as fears of a regional war are really continuing to rise, Stephen.
Josh, some harrowing video of that little girl being rescued. I did want to ask about that strike that happened on the refugee camp. Did the Israeli military say exactly what went wrong there?
Yeah, so the Gaza-run health ministry says at least 70 people died in that strike. And what Israel says is that they were targeting Hamas, which is not a surprise, but they say there were 2 airstrikes targeting Hamas sites, but that when they did an investigation, they found out there were other nearby buildings that had civilians in it that somehow were also struck by those Israeli fighter jets. Now, they say that the Israeli fact-finding and assessment mechanism, which is part of the IDF's general staff, is now looking into this incident, and they are trying to figure out what lessons they can draw from what happened at the Al-Maghazi Central Gaza refugee camp so they can make sure that it never happens again. Stephen?
Some jaw-dropping pictures of that damage. All right, Josh Letterman, thanks so much. Well, Russia has unleashed its latest wave of strikes against Ukraine. They killed at least 13 people in multiple cities, with that death toll expected to climb. Russia fired more than 100 missiles and dozens of more drone strikes in what a Ukrainian Air Force commander called, quote, the most massive aerial attack since Russia first invaded Ukraine 22 months ago. Ukraine's Air Force also said it has never seen so many locations targeted simultaneously. These attacks come just days after Ukraine hit a Russian warship in Crimea. We have a lot more still to come on Morning News Now. Stay with us. We're back now with a closer look at a high-profile case involving Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Back in 2015, she was found guilty of conspiring to kill her mother, who had allegedly subjected her to years of abuse. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has the details about her case and her release.
We're seeing some of the first images of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, finally freed from a Missouri correctional center after spending the better part of a decade behind bars for her role in a high-profile plot to kill her allegedly abusive mother back in 2015. She conspired with her then-boyfriend, who's serving life in prison for the fatal stabbing of Gypsy's mother, Dee Dee. Gypsy alleges her mother forced her for years to pretend she was critically ill, even using a wheelchair and having as many as 30 surgeries.
How is this going to stay with her for the rest of her life?
We've been running support groups for adult survivors like Gypsy. She'll have PTSD. She might engage in somatizing behaviors, which is where you focus on physical, small things, but you exaggerate them, or you worry about them excessively, or you turn psychological pain into physical symptoms.
Gypsy's case captivated the nation, inspiring an Emmy-winning dramatized series.
Real world, not until now. It's almost like we're in a Disney movie.
She was the #1 search on Google. Before her release, Blanchard telling People magazine, "I want to make sure that people in abusive relationships do not resort to murder." Now the 32-year-old Blanchard moving forward with the world watching. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
Now to Idaho, where the home of 4 university students who were killed last year is no longer standing. Demolition was completed yesterday, but some of the victims' families fear it may have been too soon to bulldoze that house. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin explains the dispute and whether it could end up affecting the upcoming trial.
Within hours, the University of Idaho demolished the home where Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez were stabbed to death.
You know, it's nice to see the house come down.
2 victims' families pleaded with the university and prosecutor's office to halt the demolition until after the trial, saying it could still be relevant to the jury. The court has yet to set a date for that trial. The prosecution argues that they've already collected measurements for any possible exhibits, and due to Idaho code, a jury walkthrough wouldn't be authorized.
Getting rid of this daily reminder of the horrific event that happened here is a relief and a step in healing.
The university acknowledging security concerns and the $700 daily fee to protect the property factored into their decision. Prosecutors have requested a 6-week summer trial date in the death penalty case. Legal experts believe the defense will seek a venue transfer to a larger city with a larger jury pool.
How much does that disrupt the timeline of getting to trial?
That shouldn't change things. In fact, that might speed things up a little bit because you get a larger jury pool. You might be able to find a jury faster.
And away from this small town, still healing from the brutal murders. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
Dana, thanks. And coming up, how do you define a year like 2023? Well, after the break, our own Joe Fryer is taking a closer look at the top trends, headlines, and of course, everything Taylor Swift did that made 2023, well, 2023. Stick around. Welcome back. Well, this is our final show of 2023, and what a year it's been. A year dominated by the war in the Middle East, of course, a House Speaker's ouster, a former president's legal battles, and the hunt for that missing submersible. It's been the year, too, of Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Barbenheimer. Our Joe Fryer takes a look back on pretty much all that happened in 2023.
How do you define a year like 2023? Was it the year of the strike? No faith! No faith! Or year of the Swift? When I walk in the room. Did it offer a glimpse of the future with the rapid rise of artificial intelligence and the weight loss drug Ozempic, or a blast from the past? Hi, Barbie! Hi, Ken. With the pink-coated resurgence of a classic doll. Was it the year a speaker was muted, or simply a political prelude to 2024 and a campaign trail lined with pit stops in the courtroom? 2023 can be defined in so many ways. To much of the world, it was a year headlined by war in the Middle East.
Major breaking news tonight. War erupts in the Middle East. A stunning surprise attack by Palestinian militants.
It started on October 7th, the day many now call Israel's 9/11. In a surprise attack, Hamas militants stormed into Israeli towns and military bases.
They were just all around me, and they were going 3 by 3 and shooting.
Israel's foreign ministry says about 1,200 people were killed, more than 200 taken hostage, including young children.
It's something that no parent can ever imagine, to see a child in the hands of terrorists.
Israel's response was swift and relentless, but with thousands of Palestinians killed and a humanitarian crisis growing, Israel faced mounting criticism. Those tensions seen on American streets and college campuses, with reports of both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia spiking across the country. As the Middle East war raged on, the one between Ukraine and Russia trudged on. Ukraine's long-awaited counteroffensive stalling and American support waning. Just one of many issues highlighting America's stark divisions. In January, it took 15 ballots.
A speaker has not been elected, has not been elected, has not been elected.
To elect Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, a position he held just 9 months before he was ousted.
I fought for what I believe in, and I believe in this country of America.
Like a reality TV show, new contenders came and went.
We're a ship that doesn't have a rudder right now.
Before Louisiana's Mike Johnson got the gavel.
The House will be in order.
An election followed by an expulsion. Scandal-plagued Representative George Santos became only the third congressman since the Civil War to be ejected from the chamber. But no controversy, it seemed, could shake the GOP support for former President Donald Trump, who in April made history too.
It was a legal spectacle never seen before in America. The former president being fingerprinted and being charged with 34 felonies.
Mr. Trump's appearance in a New York courtroom created a media circus that was repeated with indictments in Florida, then Washington, then Georgia, where he mugged for this shot.
We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
He has pleaded not guilty to all charges while preserving a vast lead for his party's presidential nomination, skipping debates.
Donald Trump's a lot different guy than he was in 2016. He owes it to you to be on this stage,
leaving the rest of the field to squabble for seconds.
Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
They're 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them.
On the Democratic side, President Joe Biden announced his re-election bid in April.
Are you saying that you would be taking part in our upcoming election?
Well, I plan on running out.
While inflation dropped in 2023, so did the president's approval rating, hitting an all-time low. Now voters are bracing for a potential 2020 rematch that's leaving many disenchanted. A wave of labor discontent swept the country in 2023, pushing unions to the picket line. The United Auto Workers went on strike against Detroit's Big Three, eventually winning record pay hikes. Well, Hollywood was effectively shut down, with writers striking, then actors, before reaching deals with studios.
It's the best day ever.
It is the best day ever.
Amid the strikes, the box office got a boost from an unlikely couple, Barbie and Oppenheimer.
We're in a race against the Nazis.
Both movies opened at the same time, inspiring a cultural phenomenon dubbed Barbenheimer.
Like, the double feature is really legendary.
Now the films are hoping to follow in the footsteps of this year's big Oscar winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once. The sci-fi flick won Best Picture, and its star Michelle Yeoh became the first Asian woman to win the Academy Award for Best Actress. There were firsts that were far less desirable in 2023. The United Nations declared in late November this was virtually certain to be the planet's warmest year on record. A year with the most billion-dollar disasters in U.S. history, including Hurricane Idalia.
Some wind gusts are starting to pound us. We actually just lost power here right now.
And a firestorm that ravaged the island of Maui.
Local people have lost everything. They've lost their house, they've lost their animals, and it's devastating.
It was the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, with more than 100 people killed. Gun violence plagued the country again, with cities like Lewiston, Maine joining the long list of communities linked to mass shootings.
Why would he do this? Like, why in Lewiston, Maine?
18 people were killed there, while 6 were gunned down at a private elementary school in Nashville, 3 of them children.
How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them?
Tragedy also reached the depths of the ocean.
Let's get right to the story the whole world is watching, the urgent search for a missing submersible.
In June, OceanGate's Titan submersible vanished while on a sightseeing tour of the Titanic's wreckage. A desperate search offered hope the 5 people on board could be rescued, but crews eventually determined a catastrophic implosion killed everyone on the ill-fated voyage. In the sky, the U.S. military shot down a Chinese spy balloon flying over American airspace, heightening tensions between the two countries. The crisis at the border widened in 2023, with places like New York and Chicago running out of room to house migrants who were bused to their cities.
Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail.
In January, protesters took to the streets following the death of Tyree Nichols.
I'm just trying to go home.
The 29-year-old black man was kicked and punched during a traffic stop in Memphis, dying 3 days later. 5 police officers were fired and charged with state and federal crimes. 1 has since pleaded guilty, the others not guilty. In the courts, the Supreme Court handed down a historic decision in June, gutting affirmative action, effectively ending race-conscious college admissions.
This is a really disappointing decision.
Perhaps no court case generated more attention in 2023 than the trial of Alec Murdaugh. The disgraced attorney from South Carolina, accused of killing his wife and son, took the stand in his own defense.
Did you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out?
No, I did not.
The jury deliberated only 3 hours before finding Murdaugh guilty. King King Charles III was officially coronated in May. Prince Harry was there for the event. His wife Meghan Markle was notably not, in a year when the royal rift between the couple and palace spared no one. With Harry's memoir,
We want privacy! We want privacy!
and the South Park parody.
All right, thanks for having us on the show.
For many, the year 2023 was the one we lost a friend.
Hi, it's Chandler.
Actor Matthew Perry died in October at the age of 54. The music world said goodbye to an icon, Tina Turner, wasted away again in Margaritaville, and the mayor of Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett. Tributes also poured in for trailblazing women in politics, Senator Dianne Feinstein, the first female Supreme Court Justice, Sandra Day O'Connor, and former First Lady, Rosalind Carter. It was a huge year for women in entertainment. Stadiums were ruled by Queen Bee, Beyonce, who also won a 32nd Grammy, and by Taylor Swift, who became a billionaire and Times Person of the Year. The artist even crossed over into football, showing up at Chiefs games to support her new beau, Travis Kelce. Speaking of sports, Simone Biles returned to gymnastics, vaulting to her 6th world title. A comeback on the mat, matched by one on the field, when Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest and medics restarted his heart.
This event was life-changing, but it's not the end of my story.
Hamlin didn't just recover, he returned to the game he loves, a symbol of resilience and strength. That just might be the best way to define 2023.
Wow, I'd forgotten about like half of that stuff. Our thanks to our very own Joe Fryer for that look back. Well, coming up to start the new year off, should you try dry January? It's certainly in fashion these days. So after the break, we'll set you up for success if you're trying to kick alcohol for at least some of the new year. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Back now with financial headlines, and Google settling a pretty hefty lawsuit alleging that it's tracking user data. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other news. Good morning, Silvana.
Hey, Stephen, good morning to you and happy Friday. Yes, so Google has agreed to settle a consumer privacy lawsuit alleging the company secretly tracked millions of people who thought they were browsing the web privately by setting Chrome to incognito mode. Reuters says the lawsuit is seeking at least $5 billion. Terms of the settlement haven't been disclosed, but lawyers expect to present a formal plan for a judge's approval by the end of February. Microsoft is preparing to upgrade its Surface laptops with new AI features. What else, right? Well, Windows Central reports the upcoming Surface Pro 10 and Laptop 6 will come with a next-generation neural processing unit. They'll be designed to run the AI features Microsoft is packaging into a future version of Windows, including a keyboard button dedicated to Copilot. That's the AI chatbot being integrated into Windows 11. And job offers for graduates from Harvard Business School have fallen to the lowest levels in more than 5 years. Now, it's a sign of the slowdown in demand for recruitment of highly qualified candidates. Harvard reporting of the 73% of most recent graduating MBA class seeking employment, 86% of those got an offer. That's down from 95% last year. Many employers are making deferred offers this year, with jobs set to start in several months at a time of economic uncertainty, Stephen.
Wow, even for those graduating from Harvard.
Yeah.
Silvana Henao, thank you.
You got it, Stephen. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Well, January is just around the corner now, which means thousands of people will be trying their hand at dry January. It's an annual tradition for many people to give up alcohol for 1 month. Well, this morning we have everything you need to know to set yourself up for success if you want to try it. Let's bring in Hillary Scheinbaum. She's got more information on this, the author of The Dry Challenge, and just the person we want to talk to. Hillary, good morning to you. So to start off, what do people need to know about beginning dry January? Is there anything they can do to make this a bit easier on them?
Good morning. Yes, absolutely. So dry January is around the corner, and to prepare, I have a few tips, including recruiting a friend, trying non-alcoholic beverages. There are so many these days between wines, beers, and spirits. You want to make a plan for your night or your days even from start to finish. And you want to, plan out your nights when you're going out with your friends. Envision what you're going to drink at the bar, how you're going to answer maybe some not so, comfortable questions. And you'll have a successful dry January.
Yeah, it sounds like a strategy would really come in handy here. If you're not participating in Dry January, but someone you love and you care about is, how can you help support them through it?
Yeah, there are so many ways. So first off, I would say don't judge loved ones. If you are approaching somebody, don't ask them why they're not drinking. Just instead, say, okay, and kind of move on with the, topic at hand. And that really means not pushing alcohol on them. Don't ask them, maybe just have one or anything in regards to pressuring them to drink. If you are hosting a party, I would definitely include non-alcoholic beverages that are inclusive. So if you have a cocktail for the evening, I would make the non-alcoholic version of that. And there are, mocktails like curious elixirs that you can just have on hand to pour. So it really just kind of takes the guesswork out of it. And even, champagne toasts. I would opt for wonderful sparkling wines like Gypsy or even Mianetto alcohol removed. So people can really enjoy and celebrating with you without the booze.
Great tips. People do sometimes get kind of weird if you turn down alcohol. They really want you to drink along with them. And on that topic, being alcohol free, that can extend beyond the celebrations for New Year's and even dating. So how can people go on dates while abstaining from alcohol? Many people feel like they might need a drink to sort of loosen up and be more comfortable in these dates.
Yeah, I definitely recommend engaging in activities that both of you really enjoy that don't involve alcohol. So that means going on a hike if it's available to you, or, playing board games if you love that, bowling, going to art classes, or doing, workouts together. But there are certainly a lot of benefits to dating without alcohol. And so, I definitely recommend it. I personally just got engaged, so I think it works.
Well, congratulations. Love to hear
you.
that. A great 2024 lined up for you, and hopefully some people ready for Dry January now. Hillary Scheinbaum, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, coming up, we're taking a closer look at the year that was, but through a different lens this time. After the break, how Americans reached out to help those who need it most in 2023. That's next. You're watching Morning News Now. We're back now with a closer look at the charities and causes that tugged on our hearts the most this year. GoFundMe released its annual Year in Help report that shines a light on how Americans choose to donate their money in 2023. From animal shelters to health emergencies, there were plenty of campaigns worthy of some extra love this year. Amanda Brown-Learman is the Senior Director for Policy and Engagement at GoFundMe. She joins us now for more insight on this year's donations. Amanda, good morning to you. So walk us through this report. What were some of the causes that saw major donations this year, and how did 2023 compare to previous years?
Thanks for asking, Steve. Thanks for having me on. Have so much to tell you about this report because it's just remarkable to think about the outpouring of generosity. I've been watching the show for the last couple of minutes, and you've been teasing all of the year of Taylor Swift. We definitely saw that on the platform. The year of these incredible causes and people just showing up for one another. That's exactly what we saw on the platform. It's really a reflection of people just showing love and support for one another and the global community coming together. So your first question, some of the things that we saw more than $106 million get raised for natural disaster relief. So when the wildfires struck in Maui, we saw people from more than 100 different countries show up to help that relief effort. We had people, Maui natives even across the country, across the globe, were helping to raise money in their normal everyday function, and then donating relief or donating to the relief efforts as well with the money raised. So it's just this incredible outpouring of support. It's also, I think this reflection of what is happening in the world. So you see that on GoFundMe too. So we saw 4.5 times more fundraisers for student lunch debt. The pandemic era when we had those free lunch programs that ended. And so we saw people come to the platform to raise money to eliminate debt. And actually one of my favorite stories of this year is this young man from Missouri, DeJuan Strickland. He's one of our GoFundMe heroes, actually, so you should look him up. But he was incredible and tried to raise $200 to eliminate student lunch debt at his school, and then raise up to almost $8,000 for students across the country. And then I would also just name the student or the senior care crisis. People are having to make some really impossible decisions about housing, medical bills, caregiving, and we saw a 10% year-over-year increase as well for senior care related fundraisers.
Wow, a lot of good being done. You mentioned the Taylor Swift effect. I'm curious about that connection with GoFundMe there.
Oh my God. The year of Taylor, GoFundMe was not the exception. 13 is her favorite number. I know that because my 6-year-old Swiftie tells me that all the time and only wants to do math problems that add to 13. So we saw $13 donations double this year on the platform. All of her fans, they came to the platform to show their support for the causes and communities that they care about. And one of the most sort of striking stories that I would point to here is, and this is, a sad story, but also just shows the power and generosity of the Swiftie community and Taylor herself. There was one of the fans actually tragically died on the way home from one of the Eras shows. And fans raised $144,000 to help that family in the aftermath of that disaster. So Taylor Swift herself is a part of the global community, and her fandom, the Swiftyhood, is alive, strong, and definitely on GoFundMe.
We'd love to see a platform used for good. Don't have a lot of time left here, Amanda, but I do want to ask about where people are the most charitable in the U.S. So which cities and states have those bragging rights?
Love this. You can go get more information on our website, but we have named the 10 most generous states. So congratulations to Vermont for being our most generous state for the second year in a row. And then we also lift up the 10 most generous cities. And this year we're proud to say that Spring, Texas is the most generous. Marietta, Georgia was last year's. My hometown, Alpharetta, Georgia, is on the list. And we hope to actually be getting on the ground in these communities to celebrate with the people and the many generous organizers and donors within these communities this year, too.
Spring, Texas, been there many times. A great place. Amanda Brown-Learman, thanks so much for your time this morning. Fascinating stuff.
Steve, can I bother you for like 10 more seconds?
10
just
seconds
to say
we
that
can do.
It's not too late for people to also be a part of our year in help. So you should start a fundraiser. You should go to GoFundMe.com and find a cause or community that you care about and support one or share a fundraiser too.
Got a couple days left. All right, Amanda, thanks so much.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, this Sunday, couples will be lining up to tie the knot in Las Vegas on the Strip, where officials may perform up to 3 times as many weddings as usual this New Year's Eve. NBC News correspondent Jacob Soboroff explains why 2023 is extra special.
Hey there, Times Square has the ball drop, but Vegas has wedding bells. The rush to the altar is all about the date, December 31st, 2023. Said another way, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Some couples see that as lucky, heralding good energy and new beginnings. In Las Vegas this weekend, hundreds of couples are expected to exchange rings as they ring in the new year.
It's Las Vegas, it's New Year's, there's always just a little bit of magic in the air.
And December 31st has extra significance this year because of the number sequence, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, making the date more sought after than ever. The Chapel of the Flowers on the Las Vegas Strip performed 53 weddings last New Year's Eve. This year they have 111 on the books and counting.
Everybody's looking for something that resonates with them, something symbolic.
Natalia Figueroa and Luis Rumbos are flying from Orlando, Florida to Las Vegas for their big day.
This is my favorite day of the year. Plus, everybody's super happy, enjoying the last day of the year, celebrating the new one. And then we noticed that the dates correlate. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're very excited for that as well.
While Las Vegas typically sees 450 to 550 couples saying "I do" on New Year's Eve, the Clark County clerk says she expects at least 1,500 this year.
We think this is going to be a banner night for Las Vegas weddings.
Weddings are big business in Sin City, where the wedding industry generates $2.5 billion a year. And there's good reason Las Vegas has been the go-to quick wedding destination for decades, taking the headache out of getting hitched. The Marriage License Bureau can provide licenses in about an hour. They're open till midnight every day of the year. And this year, to handle the New Year's Eve rush, they're even setting up in the Las Vegas airport for couples to take care of their paperwork as soon as they step off the plane.
People love when there's actually a lot of people waiting at the Marriage License Bureau, and just the excitement of being with other couples that are getting married on the same day with the same locations is just a great deal of fun.
And you never know who you might run into at the altar.
We have Elvis impersonators. We can have Dracula. We can have Mrs. Claus a few weeks ago. Pretty much anything other than, setting the chapel on fire is pretty much a go.
Of course, if you do get married on New Year's Eve, you can always count on fireworks to celebrate your anniversary. By the way, the current record for weddings on a single day in Vegas happened on July 7th, 2007. 07, 07, 07. I was never good at math. Back to you.
Me either, Jacob. That's why we're journalists. Thanks so much for that. And that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But your news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.